All right, carrying on in our globalization unit. So this is the second lesson that we'll do. We're looking at last lesson we did individualism and Japan and how that influences happiness or subjective well-being. And here we're going to look at TV and attitudes in Fiji. And these are just the two that are included here. Right. Now, if I seem to talk too much about Fiji or give too many specific details, that's because many years ago I was a tour guide in Fiji. I've been there many times. I absolutely love it. It's a gorgeous, beautiful place. And so sorry if I get a little bit too caught up in the specifics of Fiji. So just use this slide as always just to review. There's no reason why this monkey guy here as well. Someone asked me, why are there always monkeys in your slides? It's just, I mean, I love monkeys, but that's just a coincidence. Anyway. We're looking at here, how can globalization influence attitudes towards eating? We recap what the quiz is. This is a 10-question quiz based on the material in the previous lesson. And then we get into a Thinkpairshare and recalling what we talked about yesterday. Globalization is westernization. It's also Americanization. And students can think about how has American culture influenced other countries. Now, this will be easier for non-US students, but you know what? I'm going to erase that from the slide that we showed to students. That was coming out of the unit plan. Yeah, really what this question is asking is how has American culture spread globally? I can tell you I went to high school in America my last year because I grew up watching American TV in high schools and it just looked cool and I wanted to try it. So I did my last year of high school in the States simply because I grew up watching American TV and thought, yep, that looked pretty awesome. A couple of interesting videos here. This long one for 11 minutes you might not want to watch, you might want to sign for homework. It's not really that. It's not going to help the students understand the content of the course any better. Maybe save it for the end if you've got time. But this is interesting. You know, this girl here, she sent her photo around supposedly to a whole bunch of different people to Photoshop to make them beautiful, and you can see the results. Really what we're introducing here is the idea of international beauty standards and how that's presented in the media. Some slides here to introduce the idea of the thin ideal and this idea and how it's portrayed in the media. Because really this is the explanation behind the results of the study we're going to look at today, that the Western media on the television portrays the thin ideal, and this encourages girls to behave or develop unhealthy eating attitudes. Right, now, so we're going to Thinkpairshare about this. Do the students think, or do they agree that the media is to blame for creating unobtainable beauty standards? And these are the different forms of media here. And interesting now, you know, more and more we'll talk about social media. And so to see if they agree, and then afterwards we can debate it. So here we set up the debate. So what you could do is get half the students on one side of the room if they agree, the other half if they disagree. I very rarely have debates in my classes because I find two students dominate and the rest just sit there and it's the Thinkpair. I do the Thinkpairshares a lot because all the kids will discuss in small groups when it comes to debate. I just can't get much life out of it, but I hope you can. Now, the eating attitudes test, I've put the PDF in the activities files. Just simply, it's just interesting, right? Whenever we talk about these questionnaires and how the researchers gather data, I think it's really good for the kids to have a look at it. Now, there's some ethical issues here or just things to be a bit sensitive about. I would give 1 between 2 so the kids aren't tempted to fill it out. But having said that, if a kid is worried about themselves or worried about someone they know having an eating disorder, then again, we can say, look, this is a pretty, this is something that, I don't know, you might want to, dare I say, suggest that they use it or at least talk about it or you know, talk to someone who knows a bit more, like the school counselor or something. Hey, should I do an EAT? But this is just so they know about it, and so the results of this next study make sense. Okay, so a little bit of background, just some chalk and talk here for what happened in Fiji and Vanuatu. Again, just a little bit more context here so they know, right? The Vanuatu is a really big island, but it's very isolated. Most people, Nadi here is the main city, even though Suva is the capital. So 99% of people that go to Fiji on holiday, they'll land here and then they'll just stay on this side of the island. Not many people go out here. I had a little bit of a holiday romance with a girl out in Tavuni, but I digress. It was a great 10 days on a coconut farm out there. But anyway, so Vanuatu, this is good context to know. It's very isolated, it's populated, which is why TV only got there in 1995. So getting into the study, right, so a little bit of the summaries of the methods here. And I couldn't get permission to use images of Ariana Grande, but it's interesting, she was on shows of like Nickelodeon, and they've done studies looking at the thin ideal in these TV shows. And so that's just a link to the kids, right? Could this here be, this is the kind of, well, the 1995 equivalent is what the Fijian teenage girls would have been watching, something they'd never seen before. And you see Ariana Grande is very thin, and could that be having an effect? And I didn't really know how to put this sensitively anywhere, but Fijians, the Melanesians are I would say bigger, taller, and broader, both men and women, than say Westerners. And so when you compare a typical native Fijian body type to a Western body type, they're quite different. And also the point that they're native Fijians is also quite important as well, because half of Fiji is made up of Indo-Fijians, which of course have Indian by ethnicity, so a more slender frame. So these were native Fijian teenage girls. Okay, so again, sorry, I get caught up in the specifics here. All right. All right, so and then here is just a summary of the results, right? What happened, and generally, the results show that there's an increase here in risk for eating disorders. All right, so just chalk and talk. Now you can either do that by explaining this, or you can give the students the textbook and they can read it and just take some notes down here. And then this is the key question that they should be answering. And the teacher edition of the workbook has got the answers that I put in there as well. Some reflection, right? Come back to these three levels. Do they know the results? Could they tell you some of them? And then hopefully they can link that with globalization and use that for this part. And then the contradictory results in Becquerel's study, I found them when I was first writing the textbook, and they leapt off the page at me. Now I have to admit, I'm sorry, they escape me now. It might have been that there was at least one person diagnosed with anorexia nervosa before the TV was introduced, but the eating scores have increased. It might be that the EAT, there was still 13% of girls had an eating attitudes test, had high score. 13% had high scores before the TV was introduced. Anyway, sorry, but so if you can't find that, don't worry about it. Sorry, I digress. I'm waffling. Right, that's the end of the second lesson. Okay, so and that's the end of topic 1, and then the next topic will be 3 lessons breaking down the what happens when Muslim immigrants into the United States experience prejudice and discrimination, and also linked with their acculturation strategies. So there's a lot of different variables going in the next topic. All right, thank you.